Testing 1, 2, 0 viewers. All right. Let's see what we got to do to get set up. Grab some of our plates up here. Go ahead and grab some PDA here to play with. We've got a fair amount of spores here from my good friend at Wonderland Genetics. We have Tsunami. We have Bayou. We have White Rabbit. And one that I've been sitting on for a while, Natalensis Super Spore, or Super Strain. I don't know why I said Super Spore. Maybe it's Super Spore too. Who knows? Could be anything. What up, Zoo City? And then I don't know exactly where I got this one, but I'm glad I had it. I don't know what the first part means. I think maybe it's tier 4, number 1, Tat Black Cap with an extra cap, TBC cap, Tat Black Cap cap. I don't know. Maybe somebody recognizes that. But if it is Tat Black Cap, then I'd like to start it because I have not had that one successfully before. I was also going to start another one here, Yoda's Yeti from Wonderland, but I realized I already started that. In fact, I'm reasonably sure I've got that on substrate right now. So, anyhow, we're going to start these spores while we're waiting for our timer to go here. In fact, I'll have to go check it here in a few minutes to see where my sterilizer's at. Meanwhile, I'll get wiped down here. I always start out by sanitizing my hands a little bit with isopropyl. I've already sprayed down the table here. Wiped it down earlier and used the UV light. Not in that order. I use the UV light first, clear everything in the room. Then I'll come in and I'll wipe down the tables and the racks. And then I bleach bomb once I turn these filters on, and it clears out the air and kind of sterilizes the room a little bit, or sanitizes it rather. Anyhow, now I got my gloves here. I'll reach around my paper towel off screen here. First things first, get my hands all nice and clean. Take one of these paper towels here. Now I'll go ahead and start sanitizing my Petri dishes. They're relatively clean, so a quick wipe down with ISO is usually pretty good. How about you fine folks? Any of you guys just grab the plates and throw them up there? You wipe them down? What's your protocol? You use bleach, isopropyl, use hydrogen peroxide. What do you use? I know everybody's got their own stuff. What was the one that Madden liked to use? Mycolio wipes. They're supposed to be a lot less harmful chemical, or at least less offensive chemical when you use it. So let's see, how many we got there? We got 5. We're starting. I usually like to start with at least 2 plates of each. And just in time, there's our timer right there. I'll be right back. I gotta go check the sterilizer, see where our pressure's at. bleach than ISO. All right. That was perfect timing on my part. In fact, I'll set my timer again because I am at 15 psi. So currently in my big canners, I run at 15 psi for about 25 to 27 minutes, depending on how much I'm running. Right now, I'm just running little guys, 250 milliliter and 500 milliliter. So, in my opinion, that's probably overkill anyway. But we'll go for 25 and we'll pull it out when they're done here. Okay, so we will also just do a bare minimum wipe down of our exterior of our swab packages. We're not really doing a thorough wipe. We're just trying to minimize the amount of incidental contact we get without soaking the swabs here and potentially sanitizing them as well. One thing to keep in mind if you don't know is that spores are only assumed to be mostly clean. You're not guaranteed clean. I have found vendors that are absolutely clean with everything they do, but I've also had tons and tons of spores that I've started from that, I just always anticipate on that tier 0 to, see some stuff show up that might not otherwise show up later on in the show. So we're going to go ahead and grab the rest of our stuff here. Just need our torch and our scalpel. So have you guys ever lit yourself on fire? Like, I know lots of people talk about it. I've never actually experienced it like, oh my gosh, I'm on fire kind of stuff. Anytime I've ever torched anything that's got on fire, it just like fizzles out. I have yet to spray down with isopropyl and hit a wet tool and catch myself on fire and be like, I'm waiting for that moment. It will probably exist. It'll happen one day. Be like Ricky Bobby rolling around on the floor on fire. Can't see the flames. Now we let that cool. Go ahead and get all these unwrapped lickety split. It's one good thing about this grafting tape is it sure comes off a lot easier. I have experienced, however, that in cold situations that it has less pliability. And so when you have like a hot cold exchange, say like it's in a package by itself, open to the air or in a room, it can draw in air and contaminate, unfortunately. All right, so in this case, we'll start one color of each, or one no color and one color. Before we get started, find ourselves a pen as well. Wipe it down. And let's go ahead and move the camera here and give you a little better view of what I'm doing. We'll actually sanitize our hands before we touch any of that. That is one of the fun things with using this camera while you're working is you really got to make sure to sanitize up, sterilize up as you go. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's start with our accused tat black cap, whatever that means. What's up, Chris? What up, bud? Just gonna start some of these. Do you recognize that handwriting? I don't know. It looks. I don't know if it really is tat black cap, but I hope it is. It didn't want to come free there. Stuck to my scalpel. It's tag TBC by Emerald Great Gates Donkey Fruits. That is a mouthful. You should definitely make an acronym for that. It's got like 6 acronyms making it up. You might as well just call it like alphabet or acronym. Tag. What is tag? Remind me of that again. Or that's what you're saying. It's the TBC by Emerald Gates. I see. Okay. I got you. I thought you were saying it was Tag by TBC by Emerald Gates, like a 3-way. That's how well informed Matt is. He knows everything about all of these things. Ha ha ha. Not. So we will label it Tag. Nice. Yeah, we need like a compendium of all of those things. Like that one that Taylor did was nice, but we just really need like a super duper list. Like somebody could do that as a full-time job because there's new isolates and new strains to find every day. Don't forget to eat while you're on lunch, brother. All right, so we're gonna go with tsunami. Hmm. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised there to knock off a bunch of spores. I was glad I did that over the plate there. It's a lot of spores on there, good condition, came off real easy on the plate. So that one ought to germinate pretty well. All right, so we'll go with Bayou here. I'm not sure what the lineage of this is, but I have seen it. It looks kind of like a regular colored cube, but the kind of curly looking whatever you want to call it, the index. Is that what it is? The edge of the cat. Yeah, these ones look again like they're pretty. They got a fair amount of spores on the bottom there, so I don't think I'll have to do a lot to get them on the plate here. Oh yeah, just a cloud of them. We'll go ahead and do that on this side too. I often like to draw an S for super spore. Not really, just sounds good. All right, so that was Bayou. All right, next up, White Rabbit. Again, I'm not really sure what this will be. Obviously, it's not an albino. Well, maybe it is. It's hard to say if those are spores. It's probably bruising color, so it might be. I actually have heard of this one, haven't I? Isn't that the one that Roger Rabbit did? I don't know. Honestly, I would have to pull the book out to know lineage on half of this stuff. I'm going to have to get fluent on it. Oh, I don't know if I really have a favorite way. I like to. when I have time to prep for it, I like to have little syringes full of sterile water, and I'll take and put a little drop on the tip of the swab. I'll get 2 or 3 of them lined up, put a drop on the swab, and let it hydrate a little bit. You can put some hydrogen peroxide in there too, but you have to do that after the cook, and so I typically don't, because otherwise it just cooks off. But usually that's about it. I just take and I'll put a piece of the cotton inside in that little hole in the center, and then I'll streak the sides like that after I've pulled my cotton off the tip. It kind of fluffs it up and allows more of the spores that are buried in there to come up free. Okay, so that was White Rabbit. All right, only one left to start here. Then it's on to Agar Art. So this is that Natalensis Super Strain. Oh, we got ahead of ourselves there. I did not sterilize my scalpel. And now we've got a second to let it cool, so I'll grab some grafting tape. How you like this color? I really like this. Is the same color that I use in my normal Petries, but because it's that lighter colored, clearer PDA, it comes out looking, like super neon. All right, I think that's cooled off now. An interesting note here. Well, I've got this tiny little nub of a swab. The way I'm putting it on here, the way I'm streaking it, is I'm moving it along the edge of the plate so my hand doesn't get over it. The nice thing about swabs is the long stem, but sometimes you get broke on shipping. There's not much you can do about it aside from have them in a box. These ones came in a birthday card and were even wrapped inside of that. and they still come broken. So it just happens. It depends on what day it hits the mail office. You know, who's watching the jam ups in the envelope sorter. All right. Let's see how long it takes Matt to wrap 10. I started with building a still air box. Does that count? I tried to do still air box stuff, but I really don't know if you would count what I did as starting in still air box, because really I was just using spore syringes like a lot of people did, shooting them to grain. And I didn't know any better. So by the time that I got to doing real Myco work, I had built my first flow hood. I think I spent maybe 250 bucks on the thing. I bought a blower off of Amazon and a filter off of Amazon. Basically, just poached somebody else's build and went with it, so I didn't have to do any of the math myself, and ended up making a really nice overpowered one. And it worked well for a while, and I just needed more space, and ended up building this lab here before I sold that house and moved in here. Now these cool little cases here, really good for displaying your petri dishes and stacking them. As you can kind of see there, I have several of them, so I'll just get another one. This one has some spores from the other day that haven't started yet. All right, let's clean up our mess here. Get ready for the next stage. So we did get one of our spore plates to germinate here. So we'll start with our one transfer for the day. This is one of my favorites, Burma. This is in fact a spore I took early on in my career from the so-named shaft, not after the character, but rather off of a interesting growth I had initially that kind of looked like a spear of mycelium, like rhizomorphic mycelium growing out. And so I took several samples of that, and one was from the shaft of the spear. Just stuck with it after marking the plate. Ended up being a really good tub filler. Very potent, nicknamed Burma rocket ships. Oh, we talked about it earlier. Let's see if I can't catch myself on fire with this thing. I'll try not to. Oh, there's our timer. I've actually got to go turn off the sterilizer real quick. Uno momento, por favor. Alrighty, back in action here, folks. Just sanitizing myself up here again. Under that. One thing to note is it's not just spraying yourself with sanitizer that's important, but getting your hands scrubbed clean too. All right, there we go. Yeah, oh, just shot a little flame out the back. That was all. All right, always make sure to let your tools cool, especially these larger punches. And you'll know, like when you take a sample, because the mycelium that was a nice white color before you punched it will look kind of like it reseeded there. Now, when you're taking a look at your punch samples, or even if you're using a scalpel, if you look at the edges of the cut, you'll really see, whether or not they're even or just cut clean. So, using a sharp scalpel, using a sharp tool to get that nice clean edge, you're going to get a nice clean pattern when you put it on the next plate. Otherwise, if you're using something dull or something that has nicks in it or jagged points that grab the mycelium, it can actually cause some erratic growth on that next plate because the mycelium has to recover in that area where it was damaged. So I like to punch like that now, and I'll actually come in from the edge and try and get my piece out without doing too much damage to it or picking up extra pieces like that. And if I do, try and get rid of it like that. Of course, it looks like I still got a piece down there. There we go. All right, and there we have it. So next up, we'll go ahead and we'll get ready for our Agar Art phase here. We're going to pull some of these extra Petries I have down and start doing some designs in them, and then get ready to pour into those designs. So stay tuned for that. We should see some action on that here shortly. I'm just going to get everything prepped up. I will go off of live and I'll start a new live in about 25, 30 minutes from right now. So probably 20 minutes after I end this one. Do we need that? Not right yet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this here live stream, and we'll start another one up here shortly as we get ready for the next phase. Thank you for tuning in, folks.